Welcome to the Ad Nauseam podcast, where classical gourmands everywhere can finally get their fill. Join us for a delectable discussion of Greco-Roman civilization stretching from the Minoans and Mycenaeans through the Renaissance and right down to the present. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here are your hosts, Dr. David Noe and Dr. Jeff Winkle.
Welcome, Ad Nauseam listeners, to episode 192 of our podcast. As always, my name is Dr. David C. Noe. The C stands for contagious, because my interest in and love for the classics is catching.
It really?
Yes.
But with when you walk down the street, people are just drawn to you?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Teach me some classics.
Yes.
I'm here in the bunker, the Vomitorium Central, deep in the, the heart of Parnassus. With my good friend and fabulous co-host, Dr. Jeffrey T. Winkle. How are you today, Jeff?
I'm feeling great. You know, I just realized that the T in my name, I could every week I could just say I am T-O-O something.
Oh, yeah.
That's a bit of a cop-out.
Like too legit?
I'm too legit to quit.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the T stands for tergiversation.
What in the world does that mean?
It means turning around and running away.
Really?
Which is something you'd never do.
Wait, so why are you applying that to me?
Because it's not what you would ever do. You never back down from an opportunity to promote the classics.
I see, exactly.
So tergiversation, right? It's like your middle name. You've got no fear of that.
I got no fear of that. It's kind of like calling like the bald guy Curly.
That's right.
Gotcha.
That's
All
right.
Okay.
So what, you could have come up with your own word, and then we wouldn't be in this predicament.
Well, I dropped too legit. You helped me with that one. So,
all right.
But I'll take that. What was the word again?
Tergiversation.
Tergiversation.
That's
okay.
correct.
All right. Yeah.
So Jeff, what's going on?
Well, I started up a new semester.
Yes.
And that always comes with its challenges and its thrills, its ups and downs. But
right.
so far, it's been a great start.
You're sporting a great T-shirt today.
Yes, I am.
See. Vocatus atque non vocatus Deus aderit. What does that mean?
That means called or not called, or bidden or not bidden, God is present.
Nice.
Yes. Right. So that's I was telling you before the mics went on. It's a quote usually ascribed to Carl Jung.
Okay.
One of my favorite thinkers.
Right.
And he updated it from Erasmus, who
nice.
just said,
one of my favorite thinkers.
There we go. Who said something along the lines of, call upon God and he's there.
Got it.
And Jung wanted to spread that out, just talking about kind of the constant omnipresence of
he's
of
there
God.
Whether you called him or not.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Yeah. So
very nice.
I got this T-shirt off that river-based emporium.
Oh, you did?
I did.
I see.
Yes.
Not a good place to buy books, but a great place for T-shirts, eh?
Indeed.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So how you feeling over there?
I'm doing pretty well. Been doing some study lately.
Yes?
Yeah, some linguistics, trying to hone my skills a little bit, maybe branch out somewhat.
Branch out. I mean, this is, as our listeners know, kind of studying of language and linguistics is your thing.
That's right up my alley. It's my bailiwick.
But you're building on this.
Well, they say that the average American in daily conversation, the sort of quotidian repertoire, speaks about 4,000 to 6,000 different words, the vast majority, something like 60% of which are Germanic or Anglo-Saxon in origin.
I see, yeah.
But then when you begin to discuss any particular area of human study, medicine, law, even sports, then the proportion of Greco-Roman derived words goes up precipitously to something like 70%.
Oh, man. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So I'm studying a little bit of Anglo-Saxon, right?
Yeah.
And trying to combine this with my love of music.
Yes, of course, yeah.
You might say I'm teaching myself how to play the Anglo-saxophone.
Ooh. And how's that going? How does the family respond to you?
Not well.
Blasting away on the Anglo-saxophone, right?
Not well.
Right.
No,
exactly.
they don't care for that. It's schwa everything,
Exactly. Is it the Chaucer again?
That's right. Put that back in its case.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Exactly.
Right. Well, I mean, you got to follow your passions.
I do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of following passions, we are going to go on. Did you think I was headed to the ads?
I almost did. And this is really
the segue.
Yeah.
Speaking of segues and digressions, I was once grading a student paper, and the student was trying to use the term segue.
Yeah.
Right, in the sense of to move seamlessly or comfortably from one topic to the next.
Right.
And so he was describing a particular author, and he described the author as using a segue to go from one topic to the next. But as you've already guessed, It was the electric scooter.
Right.
Which was going to revolutionize the world, right?
It was.
He took a segue from one topic to the next.
So you were imagining this author.
I exactly was.
Exactly. Boy.
Crazy.
Man, those things never took off, did they?
They didn't.
And,
no.
and yeah, I think I know why it is.
Why is that?
It's impossible to look cool
You're right.
on a Segway.
You're right.
So I remember, have you ever, I think they had them in Grand Rapids, the people on Segway tours.
People are still on these, electric motor scooters. Yeah. They're popular. They're still around. There's probably one hanging outside your house, actually.
I think the idea of the Segway was, it came around. We now see it in the motor scooters,
right,
which are they're much less ridiculous.
That's
looking,
true.
right?
I don't know exactly why. So we're going to segue now, right, with our elbow pads and helmets. We're going to segue into Plato.
Yes.
Specifically the Apology. This is part 3.
Right.
Now, we have already come up with a dumb title for the episode, I believe.
Yes.
But we're going to not reveal that until it releases.
No. I feel like this is a fairly deep well. We could keep going
I think
with
we
this
could.
for a while.
That's right. We could mine it, so to speak.
Yes.
We have no shout out this week, but we do have an opening quote.
And who is this from?
This is from one T.M. Robinson. So we have a lot of casual listeners. We also have some serious listeners who are matriculating through programs of Greek and Latin classic studies. They may be in seminary or in graduate school in philosophy. Mm-hmm. We have a pretty diverse audience, I would say, in terms of interests and current pursuits.
Yes.
And so for those who want to study philosophy seriously, I can recommend this very important, you might say, monumental book, and that is Plato's Psychology by one T.M. Robinson,
all right,
former professor of philosophy at the University of Toronto. So this work came out for the first time in 1970, and Plato's Psychology is not a study of how you might walk into Plato's clinic and lay down on his couch and reveal, what dream you had last night and have Plato tell you that this is some kind of repressed emotion, right?
Yeah.
Procreative or otherwise.
Right.
No, Plato's Psychology is a very clear and extensive argument about what Plato means by the soul and how we are to understand it.
Yes.
So I want to take us to our opening quote, which is on page 3, chapter 1. The chapter is entitled The Socratic Dialogues. And Robinson says, in a well-known lecture, John Burnett has argued that the core of Socrates' teaching is to be found at Apology 29, D4 and following, and 30, A7 and following, where stress is laid on the care of the soul and how to make it as good as possible. Few would dispute this as a correct account of an important element in Socrates' philosophical activity, but as such, it throws little light on the nature of the soul in question. Any hope of elucidating this will depend upon a close examination of the usage of the term in dialogues largely admitted to be Socratic. So, Jeff, there we have the distinction we have been dealing with thus far between the Socratic dialogue, the early Elenctic kind, and the later Platonic, which is the monologuing Marvel villain.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So to continue Robinson, even here our findings can carry no particular conviction that the view of soul envisaged is that of the historical Socrates, but for our present purposes, this is not really important. What matters initially is to see what picture of soul emerges from the earlier dialogues which Plato wrote. Such an examination of its beginnings may help to explain, the structure and, then there's some French, raison d'être.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the reason for being of the more complex psychology to come. So he's setting us up then for the very famous phrase, the unexamined life is not worth living.
Right.
Or the whole purpose of one's life is to make the soul as good as possible.
Yes. Yeah.
So we could call this soul maxing.
Yes.
Right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, as I was, again, rereading the Apology this morning and these very sections that Robinson is talking about, a lot of it struck me as very biblical.
Yes.
Where, Socrates talks about one of the problems is that people are too concerned with material things and money. And he even says something that if you pursue virtue as you should, one, that's the better thing for your soul.
Right.
And second, if you preserve your virtue, then all the material stuff is likely to follow.
So this is very much like what Christ says in Matthew. Right?
Yes.
Seek first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and all these other things will be added unto it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, we want to hold that thought, kind of, keep it on the back burner
We're jumping ahead, I think.
No, that's a cooking metaphor, Jeff. Are you familiar with that?
I know about cooking.
I know, but you've got a range. There's a range of ranges. Some are electric, some are gas.
So we got this kind of bubbling over here.
Yeah, so are you a gas or an electric guy?
Gas.
You got to cook on gas.
You can't cook on an electric stove.
Not with much precision.
No, it's awful. Yes,
right.
Don't get me started.
Okay. But we're going to put that on the back burner.
Okay.
Right? Like day-old oatmeal.
Yeah, that's where it belongs.
We're just going to let it simmer a while.
All right.
Because later on, we're going to come to a Gregory Vlastos quote.
Mm-hmm.
And in that quote, he talks about the same kind of expectation of where does Socrates fit vis-a-vis Christ and a general Judeo-Christian understanding of morality.
Okay, yeah, sounds great. Yeah, all right. Well, we got to save that.
We got to save that.
Yeah.
But Robinson has set us up to go directly into the apology. And where are we, Jeff, in terms of Stephanus pages?
I think we're right in the middle of the 27C ish. We're going to dig into the accusation. One of the accusations against Socrates is that he's an atheist, or he's teaching new gods, and he takes down Miletus and Anytus by telling us what he really thinks.
Right. So you might say it's a kind of a theological discussion,
yes,
really.
Yeah, it is.
Should we start with some reading of the Greek? Is that okay?
I think we should. Where are you going to start with there?
Well, I thought I'd pick up a little portion here in 27C4.
All right.
And then maybe you can read the translation after it. So here is Socrates speaking. He says, Hos onesas hotimagas apakrino hupa tutoni anankazomenos uk un daimonia men fesme kai nomidzen kai didasken etun kaina ete palaya al un daimoniage nomidzo kataton son logon kai tauta kai diomoso en te antigraphe.
Nicely done.
Thank you very much.
As always. And for our listeners who don't have an immediate familiarity with Greek, maybe that word daimonia jumped out at them.
Hopefully.
Yes.
That's kind of been the theme, hasn't it?
Yes, exactly.
So how is this translated in the lovely Hackett edition?
Yes. Socrates says, how good of you to answer, if reluctantly, and when compelled to by these gentlemen. Well, then, you say that I acknowledge daimonic activities, whether new or familiar, and teach about them. But then on your account, I do at any rate acknowledge daimonic activities, and to this you've sworn in your indictment against me. However, if I acknowledge daimonic activities, surely it's absolutely necessary that I acknowledge daimons. Isn't that so? Yes, it is. I assume you agree, since you don't answer. But don't we believe that daimons are either gods, or at any rate children of gods? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And then Miletus answers,
Panuge.
Panuge, of course.
Right. Of course I do.
And so once again, Socrates is making Miletus look like a fool.
That's correct.
And so Miletus says, on the one hand, you're saying that I don't believe in the gods, but at the same time, I'm teaching about daimonic activities.
That's right.
Those two things cannot hold together.
That's correct. Now, what do you think? Is Socrates being fair here? Because in point of fact, he is quite a stringent critic of the Homeric pantheon.
Yes.
Like any Greek boy, anyone who had gotten an education in 5th century Athens knew most of Homer by heart.
Right.
And quotes from Homer fill the Platonic corpus.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't believe in the gods of Homer as traditionally presented. He has a very different viewpoint. So
yeah,
I think that Miletus, maybe it's a poorly framed accusation, but where there's smoke, there's fire. There's something there. Socrates is not endorsing traditional religion.
No, by no means is he doing that. And this always makes me wonder if we were thinking about this, the apology, and how accurately it reflects a real historical event. Did Plato shape this to make Miletus look more stupid than perhaps he actually was? Because it does seem like Miletus falls into these ridiculous traps, and doesn't have. When I'm reading this, is that. Putting myself in Miletus' shoes, there's all kinds of objections he could make.
That's right.
And saying, well, yeah, you might believe in daimons, but your conception of the daimons is nothing like the traditional one. And that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, very well said. Furthermore, your conception of the daimon doesn't support state religion.
Right.
And state religion and the general welfare and fortunes of the state, they go together directly.
Yes.
And that's really why Socrates is, I don't know, countercultural, almost revolutionary in his ideas.
Right.
Against 5th century Athens, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to zero in on just a couple words here in what I read, which you picked up on. The ete un kaina, ete palaya. So I do believe in them, whether they are kaina. So this is what's translated as new. And of course, it's the adjective which is used to describe the New Testament. He kaine diatheke. He kaine.
Yeah.
So oftentimes this word is translated new, kainos, but it really has a negative connotation. It would be something more like newfangled.
Like novel?
Novel, exactly. Or bizarre, never heard of. And I think, Jeff, this is a real distinction between the ancients and ourselves. And we've talked about this on the program before, but namely that we are inclined to like something that's new and fresh, right?
Yes.
But the Greeks and Romans alike were such a completely conservative culture in the sense that don't give me anything new, that the kainos as new has an immediate prejudice against it.
Yes, indeed.
And so I think Miletus is right that Socrates is doing something quite unheard of.
Right. Now that you bring that up, that's fantastic. So in the translation here, it says, well then, Socrates says, you, Miletus, say that I acknowledge daimonic activities, whether new or familiar, and teach about them. You can almost imagine a Miletus saying, right there. But he says, but then on your account, I do at any rate acknowledge daimonic activities.
That's correct.
Right. So it's almost like,
So if the charge is that I'm an atheist,
yes,
right, that's false. I'm not an atheist. And the Greeks, of course, had this notion of atheos. It was never popular, but they had the notion of being atheistic. Socrates, hey, I'm a firm believer, but then, as an aside, although my conception of God is radically different than anybody else's.
Yes, yeah. And I think we mentioned in the previous episode that even earlier in the Apology, where he makes kind of these loose oaths in the middle of his sentence, he says, not by God, but by the dog.
Right.
So he's almost sarcastic in the way that he uses these terms.
Yes, I think he is almost mocking conventional religious tropes.
Indeed.
I don't want to turn him into like a 1960s hippie or something, because I think he's got a lot more commitment than those folks, to my mind, seem to have evidenced. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a weird mix of things too, is that, later on in the dialogue, and we'll get around to this, when he's talking about what the afterlife might be like. I mean, he's talking about received wisdom about Hades,
right? And
he kind of seems to accept it as truth and says, "Well, if that's true, then I'm really looking forward to this." And
exactly.
So he himself is not consistent.
No, that's fair. So, bottom of page 32. This is going to be Stephanus 28b. We have a very nice refutatio, right? So, if the listeners are interested, they can go back to a previous episode. I think it's called "Loading the Cannons." Which was about the art of rhetoric.
That's right.
Right? How to write a classical speech. So 28b, I'm reading from the Hackett translation. But perhaps someone may say, aren't you ashamed, Socrates, to have engaged in the sort of occupation that has now put you at risk of death? So this is a refutatio. You anticipate the objection of your opponent, and then you draw all the venom away by framing it in your own terms. It's extremely effective.
Right.
But what do you think, Jeff, about the answer that Socrates makes to his own supposed question?
It says, I, however, would be right to reply to him, you're not thinking straight, sir, if you think that a man whose any use at all should give any opposing weight to the risk of living or dying, instead of looking to this alone whenever he does anything, whether his actions are just or unjust, the deeds of a good or bad man. Yeah.
So, I mean, he sets it out right there, right? This is the kind of thing that Robinson is talking about. This is the conclusion, or the summary, you might say, of the notion of Socratic and perhaps Platonic ethics. It doesn't matter what kind of thing you're doing in terms of if it's going to cause you your life. What matters is it a just or unjust action?
Right.
Full stop.
Right. And he goes on to say that if you think of the core value of a human life and how the things that you do affect your soul,
right,
then there is nothing that can harm a good man. Right. The physical body, living or dying, does not matter.
Yeah. So you mentioned on previous episodes where we're discussing this, how this impacted you a little bit as a young man when you first encountered it in Kelly Clark's Philosophy 153 course.
Yeah.
Since that time, have these ideas continued to percolate, bounce around?
Just in terms of kind of this notion of
this specific point.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that, as we're talking, it reminds me it rings very biblical.
It does.
Also reminds me, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world but loses his soul? Right. And so this resonates with me on many levels.
Yeah, there is a very famous, I'm not, despite my current employment, I'm not one who readily quotes the Puritans.
Yeah.
But here is a Puritan quote that, could have been phrased by Socrates, and I have found rings true to experience. Mind your duty, not your circumstances. So whenever you're asked, so what should I do in this situation? The first question is, what is my specific duty in this situation?
Yeah.
So you, Jeff, as a veteran podcaster, your duty is to make this show interesting and educational.
Yes.
That's your duty. Your circumstances might be a cramped little basement, right, with an inadequate supply of Diet Coke.
Yes.
But you just disregard your circumstances.
Yes.
And mind your duty.
Mind your duty.
Yeah. Now we're going to get some pushback, right?
Well, not so much about the attention to duty.
Right.
I like that. But one of the things that I don't like about kind of Socrates' kind of conception of how you live a life attending to one's soul.
Okay.
It reminds me, this quote on my shirt from this Latin quote from Carl Jung.
Right.
One of the things I don't like about Jung's philosophy is that it's very Socratic in that he says the goal of everyone should be self-individuation.
Okay.
Attend to yourself, attend to the interior, attend to your soul. That is your job as a human being. And Socrates says similar kinds of things that, why act virtuously? Why act justly? It's because you are caring for your own soul.
Right.
And so my question is always, well, where do other people come into that? Now you talk about, the attention to duty.
Right.
Now, under the banner of duty, I can say, okay, I'm there to serve my fellow human beings.
Right.
And that strikes me.
Love of God, love of neighbor.
Exactly, right. And so that the Socratic idea here and that Jungian idea of kind of self-individuation strikes me as very solipsistic.
Oh, interesting.
But I don't know if I'm reading that wrong. Is Socrates saying, would he say something, well, you can't really serve your fellow Athenian until you attend to your own soul.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if we read on, we'll get a little more clarity and insight on this.
Yeah.
I like what he says next in that he uses the demigods, the daimons, the sons of the gods, as his example.
Yeah.
Which is another way to poke his finger in the eye of Meletus and Anytus.
Right.
You say I don't believe in gods. Here's an example drawn from the gods.
Yes.
You see, on your account, he says, this is 28c, all those demigods who died on the plain of Troy were inferior people, and especially the son of Thetis, Achilles, who was so contemptuous of danger when the alternative was something shameful. When he was eager to kill Hector, his mother, since she was a goddess, spoke to him, I think, in some such words as these. My child, if you avenge the death of your friend Patroclus and slay Hector, you will die yourself immediately, so the poem goes, as your death is fated to follow next after Hector's. But though Achilles heard that, he was contemptuous of death and danger, for he was far more afraid of living as a bad man and of failing to avenge his friends. Let me die immediately, then, it continues, once I have given the wrongdoer his just deserts, so that I do not remain here by the curved ships a laughing stock and a burden upon the earth. Do you really suppose, this is Socrates asking his accuser, he gave a thought to death or danger?
Right. So the shameful thing for Achilles would be to run away from this.
Correct.
This fate. Now, can we go back just a little? I would love to actually look at a little Greek, because this thing that Socrates says, or this question that he puts in the mouths of his accusers.
Right.
He says, perhaps someone may say, this is at the beginning of 28b, aren't you ashamed, Socrates, to have engaged in the sort of occupation that has now put you at risk of death? That strikes me as a bit of a straw man. What's the word there that he used? Aren't you ashamed? Mm-hmm. Because if that's true, it's very much at odds with that Homeric ideal. And would the Greek culture of Socrates' own day have seen it that way?
Right.
Is that it's shameful to risk one's life for a greater power, a greater idea.
Yeah. So the Greek here, Jeff, goes like this. Issos an un epoitis, perhaps someone might say. Eit uk aiskune.
Aiskune.
Yes, the Greek verb aiskune, to feel a sense of shame, a sense of wanting to cover something up.
Right. So yeah, there again. So my question is that a fair question for him to put in the mouths of their accusers?
I think so, because if a person is behaving properly as a properly constituted citizen, aware of duty, you can naturally expect, and following that duty, you can naturally expect they will reach a happy end.
Okay.
But I think what Meletus is, what Socrates is imagining Meletus is saying to him, or one of the accusers, is, you didn't get to this spot being accused of atheism because you did everything right.
Right. Yeah.
You must have done something wrong.
Yes. Okay.
Because look, here you are.
Right.
We don't generally put innocent people on trial. You must be guilty somehow. And he says, well, what I'm guilty of is being as brave in the moral sphere as Achilles was in warfare. This is a brilliant connection, right?
Yeah.
To bring in the Homeric poem and say, what I'm doing on the streets of Athens is as courageous as what Achilles did on the plains of Troy.
Yeah, I gotcha. Right.
What do you think about that rhetorically?
No, I like that. It's Miletus he's almost saying is that to put yourself in this position, you've got to be crazy.
Yeah.
And Socrates, well, no, actually, it's an embodiment of Homeric heroism.
That's right. It's arete. Right?
Arete, exactly.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
So if you go on there, Jeff, in the very next portion, right, he deals with a notion of a kind of divine calling, which reminds me of, right, what's on your T-shirt there, vocatis arque non vocatis. You want to read just a few sentences, please? It's a 28D and following.
Yes. So you see, men of Athens, he says, this is the truth of the matter. Wherever someone has stationed himself because he thinks it best, or wherever he's been stationed by his commander there, it seems to me he should remain steadfast in danger, taking no account at all of death or of anything else in comparison to what's shameful. I therefore have been acting scandalously, men of Athens, if, when I'd been stationed at Potidea, Amphipolis, or Delium, by the leaders you had elected to lead me, and here he's talking about places he was during the Peloponnesian War,
That's
where
correct.
Socrates served as a soldier.
Right.
I had, like many another, remained where they'd stationed me and run the risk of death. But if, when the god stationed me here, as I became thoroughly convinced he did, to live practicing philosophy, examining myself and others, I had, for fear of death or anything else, abandoned my station.
Right.
So he says, this is my calling.
Yes.
Right.
And it could come off as quite self-serving, but I think he really, truly, sincerely believes it.
So he says that just as like the general stationed him in those places,
that's right.
So the god has stationed him in the agora.
That's right.
This is his battle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is Apollo. He is the god. Now, we might expect, I'm not sure why Plato does this. No doubt there are multiple German dissertations on this. Why Plato doesn't choose Zeus as the chief god. I guess it's Apollo's association with wisdom.
With wisdom, and also maybe it goes back to Chaerephon's oracle.
The oracle,
right?
for sure. But if you ask, the average individual who's read Rick Riordan and watched a few of the Sword and Sandals things, what's the Jason and the Argonauts? What am I thinking of?
Clash of the Titans.
Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Who's the greatest Greek god? They're going to say Zeus, right? They're going to say Zeus. But this is not how Plato conceives of it. It's Apollo.
Yeah.
And so he is a monotheist, but Apollo's the chief god.
Yes.
Apollo put him there, just like his general put him at Amphipolis and Delium and other places. And so he's got to follow through.
Right. So again, it's a duty.
Yes.
Right? It's his duty to do these things.
And in the very next portion, he says, if I had failed in that way, then you should prosecute me. That would have been scandalous, and someone might have rightly and justly brought me to court for not acknowledging that gods exist by disobeying the oracle, fearing death, and thinking I was wise when I wasn't.
So all of this is evidence that Socrates is saying is that I'm a firm believer.
That's right.
In the gods.
That's right. I'm a devout theist, and moreover, unlike the rest of you,
I'm a better theist.
I'm actually obeying the god
who
said, stay here and risk death. So I have no reason, in fact, to be ashamed.
Yes.
Moving on then a little bit, Jeff. I think you suggested we should go to long about the end of page 30 of the Stephanus page.
Yeah. This part I find fascinating. This is where Socrates talks about his personal daimon.
Right.
And how it's affected his career, and he answering objections that people have made are asking him, well, you speak in the agora privately, but you don't speak in front of the assembly.
Right. If your ideas are so important, why don't you seek a bigger audience?
Right. Wouldn't that be the obvious way to teach the city?
That's right. Why don't you try to lead the state even?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so, let me read the translation here. This is in Hackett. This is from at the bottom of page 35. But perhaps it may seem strange that I, of all people, give this advice by going around and minding other people's business in private, yet do not venture to go before your assembly and give advice to the city in public. The reason for that, however, is one you've heard me give many times and in many places. A divine and daimonic thing comes to me, the very thing Miletus made mocking allusion to in the indictment he wrote. It's something that began happening to me in my childhood. A sort of voice comes, which whenever it does come, always holds me back from what I'm about to do, but never urges me forward. It is what opposes my engaging in politics. And to me, at least, its opposition seems entirely right. For you may be sure, men of Athens, that if I tried to engage in politics, I'd have perished long ago and have benefited neither you nor myself.
That is fascinating.
This is really interesting. So, I mean, I remember talking in that freshman philosophy course, although I don't remember the substance of the conversation,
right.
but I remember Professor Clark bringing up, like, how are we supposed to imagine this Daimon?
Right.
Does Socrates really believe this is an actual kind of divine spirit that's sitting on his shoulder,
right?
Or is it just kind of an ancient Greek concept that today we would call his conscience,
right? Or intuition, or something like that.
Right.
I have this feeling, I have this impulse.
Mm-hmm.
Since you were just asking about my pet peeves, you probably know. You weren't. Right? You probably noticed that in the last 10 years or so, a lot of individuals have been substituting the word feel for think, right?
Yes.
This is so common now.
Yes, exactly.
And I've kind of gotten past it, but at first it bothered me a lot.
Still bugs me. My students do it all the time.
Yes. If you say to them something like, so when are you planning to submit that assignment? They don't say, well, I think I'll get it done by Thursday. They'll say, feels like Thursday.
Feels like a Thursday assignment.
Exactly. And that is so different than the daily kind of speech in which you and I were raised that has taken me a lot of getting used to.
Right.
Feelings were restricted to emotions, but now it's supposed to describe some kind of mental shading. I don't quite get it.
I also hear it as it's a way of kind of avoiding commitment to something.
You think it's hedging?
So when I have like class discussions, when people say, well, I feel here like Odysseus would,
right.
It's almost like, well, he might not have, and I don't really want to commit to it.
So they don't say things like, I swear on my life.
Yes,
right?
exactly. Like stand up.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, in the context here of Socrates, is this an intuition? Is it kind of a feeling, or is it like a divine voice that he hears? Socrates don't do that.
Yeah.
So that'd be my first question. Do you remember what you said you didn't remember the substance, but did Professor Clark have kind of a cash out, or did he leave it aphoretic in terms of? My
sense is he left it aphoretic because I mean I do think it's at the end of the day it's unanswerable exactly what this is. I remember talking about how for many people in using proofs for the existence of God, people say, well, even those who don't believe in God have a conscience. You have kind of an innate sense of this is a line I should not cross.
Right.
So where does that come from if not from the divine?
Right.
Yeah.
So let me take us to Romans chapter 2.
Okay.
Which I think is the most classic text for the notion of natural law.
Okay.
And there Paul says in verses 14 and 15, when Gentiles, Socrates, who do not have the law, he's referring to the Mosaic law, right? Thou shalt not kill, for example, shall not commit adultery, etc. You murder, commit adultery. They by nature do what the law requires. They are a law to themselves, even though they do not have the law, meaning the Mosaic law. They show that the work of the moral law or natural law is written on their hearts, while their conscience also bears witness. Now, this is the point I'm after. And their conflicting thoughts accuse or even excuse them. So it's interesting, very interesting to me, first, that Paul here uses this, because in his context, he's not thinking of Confucius as important as the Chinese moral tradition is.
Yeah.
He's not thinking of whatever moral teachers there were among the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Japanese. Pick the culture, the non-Western culture.
Yeah.
And I'm in no way downplaying the significance or seriousness of those moral traditions. I'm just making the simpler point that Paul didn't know about those.
Yeah.
So the examples that he has in mind are exactly people like Sophocles and Plato, of course.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's who he means, right?
Right.
And it's interesting that, as Paul describes it, the conscience, as he says, does two things. Sometimes it accuses, right? You're wrong. Sometimes it excuses them in the sense of, you're doing this correctly.
Yes.
But that's different than what Socrates says.
Yeah.
Socrates says that he only gets a sense of accusation. Don't do that, right?
Yeah.
That's the wrong thing to do. But the Daimon never says, give to the United Way.
Right.
The Daimon never says, help that old lady across the street.
Yes.
Or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, that's what I think. Kind of just writing it off as just another name for the conscience doesn't quite work.
It doesn't,
right? Because I think if Socrates were trying to make a larger point about it, he would have universalized it. He
Correct.
would say, "No, this happens to me, and if you were honest, it happens to you too."
Exactly.
But he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. That is really surprising. Although throughout the entire Platonic corpus, he routinely appeals to a sense of natural right and wrong.
Right.
But he doesn't ever say that the daimon urges him toward good action.
Right.
And I don't know what your experience is, but I assume it's very similar to mine, and that is that it's about 50-50, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my conscience says, don't run that red light. You might kill somebody.
Yes.
And my conscience also says, don't take the last piece of pie. That's not nice, right?
Right.
Or save I should say, to get a positive example,
Yeah.
save the last piece of pie for
somebody else.
your
right?
wife, your daughter, because that is nice.
Yes.
Not Socrates' experience.
No, not at all. And so that's why, I mean, if arguing from that, I'm much more prone to take Socrates' experience as something that he saw, that he felt as kind of very singular,
right?
Closer to a divine voice. He says this goes back to when he was a kid.
Yeah, isn't that surprising?
That's really interesting. Yeah.
So you think of like the prophet Samuel in the temple,
yeah,
right, when he's 6-7 years old and the Lord's calling him. But I'm not suggesting, right, that the true God is talking to Socrates, but something really unique is taking place,
right?
And very hard to explain.
Very hard to explain.
But speaking about taking the last piece of pie,
yeah,
it's time for the ads.
Let's go. This episode of Ad Nauseam is brought to you by our relatively new sponsor to the program, Della Chalupa Art. Ready for art that truly speaks to your story? Well, meet Della, a Tucson-based oil painter who captures the people, places, and moments you cherish with breathtaking detail. She's showcased her work in multiple galleries, illustrated books, and is often commissioned for standout projects. You can see her current works for sale at her website, dellachelpka.art. That's DELLACHELPKA.art. To find your inspiration, visit that website and use the coupon code APELLES.
APELLES, Jeff?
Yes.
What is up with that?
It's spelled APELLES, and that's the name of arguably the most famous painter from Greco-Roman antiquity.
Amazing.
Yes.
And if you use that coupon code, you'll get the special Ad Nauseam discount. You might say it's just a brushstroke away.
Ooh.
Of 10% off.
Yes. Check it out.
All right, Jeff, I got 3 words for you.
Yes.
Crate.
Yeah.
And barrel.
Crate and barrel.
Crate and barrel.
What are you talking about?
Have you heard about these folks?
That's like a fancy store,
yeah,
isn't
they're
it?
kind of in the Williams-Sonoma Pier 1, Piers 8
Pottery Barn.
Piers 8 through 5.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So why would I be bringing it up now?
Well, I think it has something to do with ratio coffee.
You're right.
Okay.
Mark Helweg, the fabulous entrepreneur, has succeeded in getting a special limited edition linen color.
Nice.
Made especially for Crate and Barrel and now being sold throughout the country
Fantastic.
at those fine establishments.
That is great.
Now, you have, I believe, the stainless steel of the Ratio 8.
Yep.
And that's your morning brew.
Yeah, it's a sleek looking machine. Love it.
What kind of wooden accents does that have?
It has a walnut handle.
Oh, nice.
On the hulking flagon.
Nice.
Yep.
It's got the scorch pad or the Kindle brick.
No, nothing
below?
like that. No, it doesn't need that. The hulking flagon keeps the coffee warm for hours.
So it comes down through the Fibonacci head and via the metallic veins and into the pot.
Yeah.
You have to push about a half a dozen different numbers.
You would think, but in this case, it's just one.
No.
Yep, one. You got your 3 stages. You got the bloom.
Okay.
You got the brew.
All right.
And then it's ready.
Okay.
Yep.
But then after you leave home, after you've poured some for your lovely wife, and you go into the office.
Yes.
What meets you there?
The Ratio 4.
Wow.
Which I believe is kind of your machine.
It is my
that's your
machine
go-to
of
machine.
choice.
Yes. Yeah. Which is great. It's small. It fits perfectly on my desk. You know, I can just brew up the 1 cup.
It's elegant.
I can take that down to my class. It's beautiful.
That's right. So if you would like to score some better coffee making equipment for yourself and your family, improve your morning routine, then meet the Ratio 4, the first affordable and beautiful half-batch pour-over coffee machine. The 4 is our smallest brewer yet, an agile, sleek machine. It puts out between 5 and 20 ounces of coffee per batch, enough for 1 to 2 reasonably sized cups or a big travel mug. This machine is built to last, and it's backed by a 5-year warranty. So, Jeff, what should they do if they want to score some great coffee action?
They should go to ratiocoffee.com/AdNauseam. ad nauseam. Don't forget the V in ad nauseam. And find the machine that you would like to purchase. And if you use this coupon code, ANRATIO, ANRATIO, 2025, the current year, that will get you $20 off your entire order.
Check that out.
This episode of Ad Nauseam is also brought to you by Hackett Publishing. We love these guys. They've been with us from the very beginning of this podcast. They took a chance on us, and we love what they do. They are one of these companies that is keeping the flame of the classics alive in an affordable and erudite and impressive kind of way. I think I'm probably in my 20th year now of using Stanley Lombardo's translation of the Odyssey produced by Hackett. My students love it because it's readable, it's attractive, and it's so affordable.
Absolutely. They don't compromise quality, but they still bring a great value.
That's right. Now, they have some new stuff coming out, right?
I'd like to share it once again with the listeners. This coming September, which is now, Hackett is releasing a major new work in philosophy, Aristotle, The Complete Works by Reeve and Kantos. To celebrate this release, Hackett is planning several book giveaway contests, and the winners will get a free copy of Aristotle, The Complete Works, and an accompanying tote bag.
Fantastic.
Isn't that nice?
Very nice.
So this is the first collection of new English language translations of the Aristotelian corpus since 1954. It's consistent with the translation of key terms across the works, a beautifully produced 2-volume cloth-bound set, boxed or unboxed with Smith-sewn bindings. It includes all kinds of supporting and supplementary materials, so there's no reason not to, you might say, no reason not to study Aristotle once these folks bring this out.
Fantastic. So, listeners, hey, do yourself a favor. Go to hackettpublishing.com. That's HACKETT publishing.com. See their amazing catalog, all the wonderful things they have to offer under the umbrella of classics and beyond. And if you type in this coupon code, AN2025, that's AN plus the current year, Dave, that'll get them 2 wonderful things.
Yes, it will get them a free tote bag.
A free tote bag?
No, is that right?
No, that's
2
something
free
else.
tote bags?
No, Dave, come on. You know what they get.
I think you're going to get 20% off your entire order.
Yes, and
free shipping.
That's right. It's huge. Check it out. All right, Dave. So let's get back into this.
Yes.
So I would like to get closer to the end of the apology.
Okay.
Let's talk about when this goes to the jury. Finally, Socrates basically says the defense rests, and they throw it to the 501-person jury. Mm-hmm. And what happens? What's the vote that comes back?
Well, it comes back that he is convicted.
Yes.
But what he's surprised about, as he says, is that the vote was so close.
Yeah.
Just a few votes, I guess, one way or another, and he could have gotten off.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. And so, but he is convicted, and then it goes to the penalty phase, which also the jury decides upon. And Socrates is given an opportunity to propose his own penalty. And here is, I mean, if this is someone who cared about saving his skin,
right?
He makes an error here. But
absolutely,
we talked about this. Socrates says it's not about life or death here.
No, it's right and wrong.
He takes one last opportunity, in some ways, to kind of rub their face in it, and he says, "Okay, there's my penalty." He says, "Given that the great benefit that I have been for this city and for all the people here, I think you should treat me like an Olympic victor, and I should be given free meals at state expense down in the Agora day after day." Right?
I do have to wonder, as funny as that is, though, I do have to wonder what would be the quality of those meals. Maybe that's just my age. When I was a younger fellow, free meal, I'm there.
Yeah.
Now, some things aren't worth it, even when free.
Right. Is it? Think maybe something like the dining hall at the at the college, or
could be.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Free meals, I don't know.
Right. Mexican pizza again.
Yeah,
right.
chalupa.
Chalupa. Right. Yeah. So, and there too, it's one of those things too. Is I have to wonder, did Socrates mean this as a jab, or was if we look at it through the prism of was he on the spectrum?
Yeah.
Did he say no? Well, what's wrong with that?
I think it's a jab.
it's got to be a jab.
I think it's tongue in cheek. Right? For all the good I've done you, how about you support me at your expense the rest of my life?
Yeah.
That's a good penalty.
Yeah.
I think it's a jab.
So then his friends rush forward, and Plato is named.
Right.
And they freak out.
They cobble together, right? They're searching through the couch cushions.
Right.
I think Plato takes some empties back to the the grocery store to get 10 cents per can.
Yeah.
Can we scrap something together?
Right. But what they actually come up with is they offer up 30 minas.
Yeah, it's a big amount of money.
It's a big amount of money. I think the footnote in the Hackett edition is like 10 years' wages for your average worker.
That's like $1 million. Yes, this is footnote 32 on page 42. 30 minas, 3,000 silver drachmas, was almost 10 years' salary for someone engaged in public works.
Incredible.
So someone engaged in public works, that's like the postman, right?
Yes.
Let's say they get maybe 80,000 a year, 90,000 a year. It's about $1 million.
Yeah, it's incredible, but it's too late.
Right.
It's too late, and so the jury votes again, and it seems that those who were sympathetic to him before, they turn on him.
That's right.
And he is condemned to death.
That's right. So at the bottom of that same page, he says, this is Stephanus 38d, "And to those same people, I also say this, perhaps you imagine, gentlemen, that I was convicted for lack of the sort of arguments I could have used to convince you, if I'd thought I should do or say anything to escape the penalty. Far from it." So here's, Jeff, where I think Plato, at least as he's describing Socrates, knows that Socrates has enough skill that he could play to the crowd.
Yes.
He could have shaded things. He could have changed. And here, right, there are many listeners probably who really love this movie, Shawshank Redemption, which I, of course, very strongly dislike, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
Why? Because the Tim Robbins character cheats.
He cheats.
And gets out of prison. He digs his way out.
Right.
Spoiler alert, right? He's no Socrates. Socrates said, I wasn't going to stoop. Although I'm falsely accused, I'm not going to stoop. I'm going to stay. And then this is even more developed in the Crito.
Yep.
I'm going to take the penalty because there's too much risk to my integrity to shade anything in this conversation. I'm going to keep it intact and obey the god. And then he'll say in the Crito also, the god didn't tell me not to come here for the trial.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's kind of an implicit commendation of my course of action.
So if Andy Dufresne,
who is that?
That's the Tim Robbins character.
That's the name of the character.
The character. So if he had been attending to his soul, he should have died in prison, even though he was unjustly accused.
That's exactly my point. Okay. I could not have said it better myself.
All right.
Am I wrong?
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, from a Socratean point of view, no, you're not wrong. From a Hollywood dramatic point of view,
wouldn't it have been a better movie if we just watched him for 3 hours?
We just watched him
going about prison life, switching posters, coming up with different kinds of spoons. Isn't that?
That would have been better.
He was digging his way, right?
Right, exactly. After many years. Yeah.
I think people are hoodwinked. Here I'm digressing.
Mm-hmm.
They're hoodwinked by the word redemption. You put the word redemption in something, it must be good. It must have a good moral lesson.
Yes.
If we had called this the Redemption Podcast, instead of ad nauseum, right? Just think what our listenership would be.
Oh, do you think we'd have a lot more people listening?
Absolutely.
Really?
Because it's a catchy word. It must be good.
Must be good. Yeah.
But no, Socrates says, I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to take what came to me, whether I deserved it or not. Yes. I think that's far more noble.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. Far more noble. But I think from a cinematic, dramatic point of view...
You're back to that, huh?
Yes. I mean, that you're going to have a tough time getting a test audience to give a thumbs up to that.
Okay. Yeah. So what happens next?
Right. So now he ends the apology basically with an excursus about... he speculates about the afterlife.
Okay.
And I think this is really interesting. Mm-hmm. It says, so he's kind of accepted. I'm going to accept this punishment. I am going to go to my death. But then he says, you know what? You think that you're harming me,
right?
But he said, but who knows? He says I might get the better deal here.
That's right. So this is Stephanus page 39, I believe, near the bottom of page 43 of the Hackett edition. Is this the prophecy portion where he says, "Next, I want to make a prophecy"?
Yeah.
Could you read a little bit of that for us, please?
It says, "Next, I want to make a prophecy to those who convicted me. Indeed, I'm now at the point at which men prophesy most when they're about to die." Yeah, so there's even tapping into a mythic archetype.
Don't you think that's true?
Yes. Well, I mean, that's the words of the last words of some are usually given special, almost mystical weight.
I think it's because the mind is so incredibly focused at moments like that.
Yes. He continues, "I say to you men who condemn me to death, that as soon as I'm dead, vengeance will come upon you, and it will be much harsher, by Zeus, than the vengeance you take in killing me. You did this now in the belief that you'll escape giving an account of your lives. But I say that quite the opposite will happen to you. There will be more people to test you, whom I now restrain, though you didn't notice my doing so. And they'll be all the harsher on you, since they're younger, and you'll resent it all the more. You see, if you imagine that by killing people, you'll prevent anyone from reproaching you for not living in the right way, you're not thinking straight. In fact, to escape is neither possible nor noble. On the contrary, what's best and easiest isn't to put down other people, but to prepare oneself to be the best one can. With that prophecy to those of you who voted to convict me, I take my leave.
That's high drama.
It's high drama. I mean, and he's saying that he's not only just saying by convicting me, you're doing damage to your own soul. I mean, right. He's saying that, but he's also saying, listen, you didn't realize how I kept many of these powers at bay.
I think this would be kind of Plato saying, now your state is filled with philosophers, students of Plato. Then there's the Aristotelians, the Stoics are on the horizon.
Yeah. People
who are going to call into question, I guess, traditional state religion and morality.
Yeah.
Which is based on a kind of Hesiodic, just correct me if I'm wrong here. It's based on a kind of Hesiodic notion of the hawk and the nightingale, right?
Yeah.
That might makes right.
Right. Yeah.
That's the basis of, I don't know, statecraft in Athens as presented by Thucydides.
Yeah.
And Plato says, well, you kill Socrates, things are going to get a lot worse for you.
Right. Yeah, no, that's very well said. And so it's not only in the immediate term, but Socrates seems to be seeing ahead through the centuries where this is going. Yeah.
I really especially like this little jab that Socrates makes against Shawshank Redemption. Yeah. He says, in fact, to escape is neither possible nor noble. Right?
Exactly.
That's not noble.
Now, Socrates would have been throwing popcorn at the screen.
Exactly. Right? Despite, the sonorous Morgan Freeman voice, which is a great voice.
Yes.
I don't even remember what that character did in the movie. Do you? He's
Morgan
a fellow
Freeman?
inmate, but what did he do? Was he kind of like the soul searcher that helped the guy through?
To use Jungian terms, he's the mentor, right? He's the Obi-Wan.
I see.
And in the story, he's the one who can procure things, and so he's the one who sees Andy as...
He's the Daimon.
He's the Daimon. Yeah, exactly. Right. And then they have that tear-jerking reunion on the beach which ends the film. Did you make it that far?
I did. I had to watch it. That's probably why I didn't like it, because someone forced me to watch it. But how was Freeman as a Daimon? Shouldn't he have been telling the Robbins, Andy Dufresne, right? The Robbins character, no, stay. Well, you're suffering unjustly. Nothing can harm a good man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he sympathizes with Dufresne in his plight, but I mean, I think it's also striking that Dufresne keeps his ultimate plan from Red. That's the name of the Freeman character. So he's not in on
a lot about this movie.
Well, we just I can't remember.
You a fan?
This past spring break, we went to the Ohio prison where it was filmed.
Oh.
And took a tour, which was fascinating.
You didn't tell me that.
And so then on the heels of that,
let me guess, you're a fan of the movie.
I like the movie.
Now there goes our friendship.
That's really. I don't praise it in these high terms that so many other people do. I think it's a fine movie.
Okay.
And well acted and written. But we thought that having visited, we should watch it as a family.
Okay.
And that was fun to do. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I got it. And just one more digression,
please.
So we're watching the film, and I'm watching my middle son Ezra, who's watching it, and he's got this very kind of concerned look on his face. We're kind of halfway through, and I asked Ezra, I said, "Well, what do you think so far?"
Right.
He goes, "Okay, explain this to me. We see all these prisoners, and none of them have beards. They're all clean shaven." I say, "Yes, that's true." He says, "But we never see them shave."
Wow.
And that really bothered him, that there was like no shaving.
I never even thought of it.
No shaving montage.
Huh. That's funny.
So he had this look on his face. I thought he was gonna say something quite profound.
Yeah, something
but
about
he was just bugging that we never saw any shaving scenes.
That's fascinating. The things people observe.
I know.
I would never notice that.
No, me either. Huh. Yeah. Hey, but let's get around to Socrates' ideas about the afterlife. So let me pick this up. This is Stephanus 40c.
Okay.
Where Socrates is again speculating about what might happen to him now. He says, but let's bear in mind that the following is also a strong reason to hope that death may be something good. Being dead is one of two things. Either the dead are nothing, as it were, and we have no awareness whatsoever of anything at all, or else, as we're told, it's some sort of change, a migration of the soul from here to another place. Now, if in fact there's no awareness, but it's like sleep, the kind in which the sleeper has no dream whatsoever, then death would be an amazing advantage. For I imagine that if someone had to pick a night in which he slept so soundly that he didn't even dream, and had to compare all the other nights and days of his life with that one, and then, having considered the matter, had to say how many days or nights of his life had he spent better or more pleasantly than that night, I imagine that not just some private individual, but even the great king would find them easy to count compared to the other days and nights. Well, if death's like that, I say it's an advantage, since in that case, the whole of time would seem no longer than a single night.
Let me stop you right there.
All right.
Okay. So, first, Socrates or Plato is guilty of a false dichotomy.
Okay.
False dichotomy, there are only two options.
Yes.
Right? It's either the gordita or the chalupa. Right? But what if I want the taco?
Yeah.
False dichotomy.
Yes.
And the false dichotomy is that death is either a sleep or it's a migration. Now, he's going to say a migration to a good place, right?
Yes.
The thing that's left out is a migration to punishment.
Right.
So this is why I would say it's a false dichotomy.
Yeah. And I would go further to say that I've always had a problem with his equating nothingness with a dreamless sleep.
Well, that's where I was going next.
Right.
Let's say it is a dreamless sleep. The only way I could find a dreamless sleep comforting is if I know I'm going to wake up.
Exactly. And you have to wake up to appreciate what just happened.
Absolutely.
Right. So he's talking about oblivion.
Yeah, oblivion is not comforting.
No, it's not.
Right? I would like to have a sound night's sleep, right?
Yeah.
Where I don't hear the animals in the yard or worry about tomorrow or anything. I just sleep peacefully like a baby, supposedly.
Yes.
Minus the diaper changes.
The babies are terrible sleepers. I've always hated that phrase.
Yeah, but anyway, the only way you can enjoy a deep night's sleep is after the fact.
Right.
You don't enjoy it in the moment. You just think, now that was restful.
Yes. Exactly.
And this is not what Socrates is talking about.
No, not at all. Right. And I get the feeling that in choice 2 is what he's really hoping for, of course.
Of course. Can you go on and tell us what's coming next?
So he says, on the other hand, if death's a sort of journey from here to another place, and if what we're told is true, and all who've died are indeed there, what could be a greater good than that, gentlemen of the jury? If on arriving in Hades and leaving behind the people who claim to be jurors here, one's going to find those who are truly jurors and judges, the very ones who are said to sit in judgment there, too, Minos, Rhadamanthys, Aeacus, Triptolemus, and all the other demigods who are just in their own lifetimes. Would the journey be a wretched one?
Right.
And then he talks about, who wouldn't love to talk to Orpheus, to Musaeus, to Hesiod and Homer?
Yeah.
And he basically, he imagines, I could go on annoying people with my questions for eternity, right?
Or at least interviewing them, right? Yeah, I'd be willing to die many times over, he says, if that were true. You see, for myself, at any rate, spending time there would be amazing. When I met Palamedes or Ajax, the son of Telamon, or anyone else of old who died because of an unjust verdict.
I love that. He says he's already spitting back at the jury.
That's right.
I want to meet these guys who went through what I just went through.
Yes,
right?
who were also wrongly convicted.
Right. Yeah.
I could compare my own experience with theirs, as I suppose it wouldn't be unpleasing to do. And in particular, the most important thing, I could spend time examining and searching people there, just as I do here, to find out who among them is wise and who thinks he is but isn't.
This always makes
First up, Agamemnon.
Yeah, right. This always makes me think of that wonderful painting from Raphael, the School of Athens.
Oh, yeah.
Which is in the Vatican apartment.
Yeah, sure.
And you have all of these Greek thinkers there anachronistically together.
Right.
And Socrates is there.
Right.
And he's in mid conversation. He's back off and to the left.
Right.
But it's almost like
Plato and Aristotle in the center.
In the center, right. But Socrates is doing basically what he's imagining here.
Yeah. Does it ever end, Socrates? Even in death, you're going to go around annoying people?
Right. So death has no end, and neither do my questions, right?
But what if there's the third alternative, which is if the afterlife is not like this, a place of elenctic conversational bliss, but instead it's a place of punishment, which is present in lots of poetry, specifically Odyssey, Book 11, right?
Yep.
Before Plato. So why doesn't he develop this idea?
It's very selective, right?
Yeah.
And it also makes me think, further down the line in the Platonic dialogues, we get the myth of which imagines a kind of reincarnation, which is not on the table here.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
The movement of a soul, but not the movement of a soul back into some kind of other human body.
Yes.
Still, Jeff, whom would you like to interview in the next life?
Well, if we're gonna, let's
Elvis is not an option here.
I can't. Why not Elvis?
Well, because I'm tired of pop culture, and
Really?
unless I'm bringing it up, then it's okay.
Yes. It would be Carl Jung.
Okay.
Yes, I would love to. I'd love to speak and meet the man. Yeah.
What would be your first question?
I would. I would love to talk with him about mythology.
Okay.
And how about you? What would you? Where would you go?
Cicero comes to the top of the list.
Of course.
Theodore Beza, I'd really like to know.
Yep.
What made him tick?
Yeah.
My great-grandfather on my dad's side, Jacob, whom I never met, and then some other, ancestors.
Yeah.
I guess I'd like to talk to great-grandmothers. I mean, I did talk to one great-grandmother, but further back, and just ask them questions like, did you ever think it was coming to this?
Yeah.
Right? Did you foresee? Did you ever think about your posterity as you were living your daily life?
Yeah, that's great.
Because I think about my posterity. I mean, if I have any, sometimes.
Yeah.
What will they say about me 100 years from now?
Yeah,
will they even know my name?
Right. Yes. Yeah. How easy it is to be forgotten.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, we're about to wrap it up. Shall we take them right to the end?
Let's take them right to the end.
Right to the end of the apology.
These powerful lines here.
Absolutely.
At the end. Yeah.
This is Stephanus 41E. So it's pages 45 and 46 of the Hackett edition. This small favor, he says, however, I ask of them, that is, of his friends and of the jury. When my sons come of age, gentlemen, punish them by harassing them in the very same way that I harassed you, if they seem to you to take care of wealth or anything before virtue. If they think they're someone when they're no one, reproach them just as I reproached you. Tell them that they don't care for the things they should and think they're someone when they're worth nothing. If you will do that, I'll have received my own just deserts from you, as will my sons.
So Socrates is thinking about posterity.
He is. Right? He's got 3 sons, as I remember.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to read just the very last bit here, please?
Yes. And he says, but now it's time to leave. I to die and you to live. Which of us goes to the better thing, however, is unclear to everyone except the god. It's powerful stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
As a work of literary composition, brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It's got to be in my top 5 of anything ever written.
Have you ever seen or heard of anyone like doing this as like a one-man play?
No.
It's got to have been done. It's like
you would think so.
A performance piece, right? So
it lends itself very well to that because
does.
You can imagine the individual playing Socrates, probably Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, it'd be great.
Tim Robbins. No. But, speaking to the interlocutors who are off stage kind of, and just kind of imagining the response and such.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
I think it would work quite well.
Right, exactly. I'm kind of embarrassed to say that my mind immediately goes to Socrates from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
He was there, right?
He was, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So as we start to wrap things up, I want to take us back, because we'll be saying goodbye for a while, to Plato. I want to take us back to Gregory Vlastos, his book Socrates, Ironist and Moral Philosopher. So this was published by Cambridge in 1991. And I want to take us to page 165, which is in the chapter entitled Socratic Piety. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. Socrates would reason that if knowledge of good and evil entails moral goodness in a man, it would entail the same in a god. And since the god's wisdom surpasses greatly that of the wisest man, God's goodness must surpass no less greatly that of the most virtuous man. And since he holds that goodness in a man can never cause evil to anyone, he is bound to hold that a fortiori neither can goodness in a god. Since God can only be good, never evil, God can only cause good, can never be the cause of evil to anyone, man or God. So that's the notion of Socratic piety that Vlastos, I would say, rightly derives from the Euthyphro and from the Apology.
Right.
So now here's the payoff. To the heirs of the Hebraic and Christian traditions, this will hardly seem a bold conclusion.
Yes.
That God is all good and will never harm a good man. But to go on, for those bred on Greek beliefs about the gods, it would be shattering. It would obliterate that whole range of divine activity which torments and destroys the innocent no less than the guilty, as careless of the moral havoc it creates, as is, for instance, Hera in Greek traditional belief, who persecutes Heracles relentlessly throughout his life, beginning with infancy, when she sends snakes to finish his life almost before it has started, and so on repeatedly thereafter until the day of his death, when she dispatches Lyssa, the divinity of madness, to unhinge Hercules' mind so that he murders his own wife and children in a fit of insanity, all this simply because Heracles had been the offspring of one of her consorts, that'd be Zeus, numerous infidelities. The calamities she contrives for Zeus's bastard is one of the ways in which she makes the son pay for his father's offenses to her. It would be hard to find a human female acting more viciously than this goddess does in the myths. What would be left of her and of the other Olympians if they were required to observe the stringent norms of Socratic virtue, which require every moral agent, human or divine, to act only to cause good to others, never evil, regardless of provocation.
That's fantastic. I mean, you, not only upending, like you were saying, like to a Hesiotic worldview,
right?
But the worldview of all of Greek myth.
Exactly.
Right? Yes.
And so I think what this quote does, which is why, I quoted it, is it shows just how radical, in one sense, Socratic piety is.
Yes.
It goes directly against, like you were saying, a long tradition.
Yes. Fantastic. Well, hey, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I'm kind of sad that we waited this long to get to Plato.
It took us 5 years to get to the Apology. There's a lot more Plato to go.
Oh, yeah. And we will.
And one of our recent shout-outs, this individual would really like to hear us talk about the Symposium.
Yeah.
And the Phaedo. So these are some other dialogues we'll have to talk about.
Yeah, I am down for it.
All right.
Yes. But hey, Dave, before we get out of here,
yes,
I'm sure that we have listeners who would love to learn some Greek and Latin, would love to even learn how to read the Greek like you did so well.
Yeah.
How can they do that?
Well, I had a student sign up just this week. I'm not going to drop the person's name, but they're a law-talking individual.
A law-talking?
Yeah, a lawyer, right? Peritus juris, as we say in Latin, from somewhere on the East Coast. Said, I love the podcast. I'm glad to be in your Greek class. And I thought, the system's working.
Yes.
It's working.
Fantastic.
We're sharing knowledge of this and getting people interested in Greek and Latin. So
great. Yeah.
Go to latinperdiem.com. Check out Moss Method for Greek. These very stories, as I mentioned before, come at the end of Module 1, the beginning of Module 2, the stories of Socrates' trial. If you're interested in Latin, you can take one of my LLPSI courses. You can learn ab initio. And we have a coupon code, and that is 10+, 10PLUS, to get 10% off anything on the website. So check that out.
Fantastic.
We have some people to thank, Jeff.
As always, our wonderful engineer, Mishka, who turns us around so quickly and makes us sound way better than we actually do. And how about this musician, this Jeff Sheets? Man, this guy, I'm so glad that you connected with this guy.
Oh, yeah.
The clips that you hear from his songs Thrill Seeker and Rush Hour, that dude can play.
Yeah, he has contributed to some of our Christmas, our festival-themed music in times past.
Yeah.
And we got an interesting comment from someone on the Facebooks. She said that the opening riff sounds like something from Mad Max.
Mad Max?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I didn't know that, but I'll take it.
Yeah, fantastic. Have you seen that movie?
No.
Oh, you've not seen Mad Max?
No. I'm too busy being, forced to watch
Shawshank Redemption.
If they had named it Mad Max Redemption, then I would.
You probably would have been forced to watch it.
This is a movie that would improve me. There's redemption right in the title.
Yeah. Hey, listeners, if you want a shout out, if you got a question, you got a comment, a theme for an episode you would love to hear, don't hesitate to contact us. You can contact Dave. It's dave@adnauseam.com. Don't forget that V.
Or Jeff@adnauseam.com. Do not forget the V. We're redesigning the website.
Oh, yeah.
We're in the midst of a website redesign. So if you like the old one, you better visit it soon. It's going to disappear.
Yeah.
The new one will be even better. We might set up a kind of a club sort of system or a membership. You can be an ad nauserino. I don't know what what will the title be?
We'll workshop that one.
Little vomiter. I don't know what we should call them, but we're so glad that you're listening. So grateful for your support.
Yeah. Hey, how about this this giveaway?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to give away a copy of a Plato Reader. This is the text that we've been quoting from the Apology, but it includes many, many other Platonic dialogues. This is the one from Hackett, edited by CDC Reeve. And to enter the drawing, contact Dave, dave@adnauseam.com. Don't forget the V. And if you put in the subject line, Plato.
That's it?
Plato.
Okay.
Then you are in.
They're entered for the drawing.
Yes.
Which will probably take place on the next episode or two, and we'll send that copy out to the lucky winner.
Yes.
Next week, Jeff, is it another TBD?
I think it's a TBD.
Okay.
Yeah, we had come up with a kind of a jot list of things. We'll take a look at that, and we will dive into something interesting.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay.
And Dave, I believe you have the gustatory parting shot.
I do, and it's again from B. Wilson.
Yeah.
B-E-E Wilson. This is the third time this particular authoress has gotten a gustatory parting shot. B. Wilson.
Promise me it's going to be as bland as the other ones.
Oh, even more so. It's from her book entitled First Bite,
yes.
How We Learn to Eat.
Okay.
And I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Right.
She says, quote, "You are unlikely to eat something if you don't know what it is." Does that ring true? Does that resonate?
My reaction is, well, duh.
Okay, but don't you remember being like a 16, 17-year-old kid?
Mm-hmm.
And then my standard for eating something was, is it available? Right?
right, exactly. Yeah.
Someone would say, hey, eat this. Okay.
Yeah.
Eat first, ask questions later.
I see. I guess I think when I think about it, I think if it's some kind of creature, I want to know what the creature is that I'm eating. But
that's fair.
I mean, if we want to bring it back to the chalupa,
some kind of baked good or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, less stringent on that.
All right.
And,
so
yeah,
take in the classics
and keep them down.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.